Hey, triathlon fans, Ryan here, setthepacetriathlon.com, coming to you live after a, well, not brief, but long hiatus from posting YouTube videos. We're going to talk specifically about 70.3 Omaha because myself, I am doing it for validation for my legacy slot for Kona for 2026, and I've got a few athletes out there doing the race, and I thought I would just kind of collectively kind of put my thoughts together about this race and kind of what I'm looking at and what I'm suggesting my athletes look at for the race. So we're going to get down to it quick and dirty. We're just going to jump right into it, and this is going to be rolling the video, and whatever comes out, comes out. And if you got any questions, you can post them in the Facebook. If you see it on there, you post it in YouTube. I'll answer any questions I got. A little bit of background on me. I've done 14 full Ironmans. Qualified for Kona Legacy for 2026 here. Getting ready for that. Been doing validation races. Did 70.3 Des Moines last year. Did that a couple of years. And now I'm doing 70.3 Omaha to get my validation for this year. I live in Kansas City, so it's like under a 3-hour drive, so it's kind of a no-brainer to go up there and do this race. Looking forward to it, though. I raced in Omaha when the Nationals were there for USAT and all that kind of fun stuff. So I've been up there before. I covered that territory for a day job for a little bit, so I've been up there. I've been riding trails, been doing workouts up there, so I kind of know the area a little bit better than somebody that's never been there before. But I digress. We're going to get into kind of what my suggestions, recommendations are for the race. First recommendation is get very familiar with the website. They've got just some general information, lake swim, rolling bike, which I think is a little bit optimistic. Rolling run, which is a little bit, I would call it rolling, 180 feet total of gain. Maybe some little rolls in there, but very few. I do want to bring attention to the kind of the air temperature, what we're looking at. We'll kind of go in depth in kind of the weather forecast. We are about a week and a few days out, so it's going to be kind of pretty important to start honing in on what the weather's going to be like, so you can make sure you're prepared for that, because we're coming out of hibernation here in Kansas City. We've gotten in the 80s, 90s. We touched a little bit. It's been kind of humid, so if you've been able to get outside and get your workouts in around the Midwest area, it is getting humid. So you're getting a little bit acclimated, especially if you're going to get up there and do that race. Race day could be in the 80s or something like that, so make sure you're ready for that. So be familiar with the website, be familiar with the race. What I always tell people is read the athlete guide. It has come out, it is live, it is active, and I use this as kind of my guide, is to go through and talk about the race. You can read about the race director. He did 70.3 Des Moines. He's now doing 70.3 Omaha. I think Des Moines was done very well, so I look forward to him producing this first-time race in Omaha. So, know the event schedule. Personally, I'm recommending most athletes get in by Friday and get checked in, get all your stuff, get your timing chip, your bags. It's a 2 transition race, so you have gear bags for the swim area for T1, and then you have gear bags for T2, because as you look later in the event schedule, you'll be doing drop-off for both areas. So make sure, I want to get in there Friday and get my bags and everything, get checked in, go to Ironman Village, get any t-shirts or hats or whatever you want before it sells out. Just make sure that I'm ready for Saturday, because you're going to be doing a bike drop-off at T1. You're going to be doing a gear drop-off at T2. So there's going to be a lot of kind of moving parts, getting around, dropping all your stuff, logistics and stuff on Saturday. So I don't like to roll in, if I can avoid it, rolling in on Saturday and doing everything in one day, and then you have to kind of wind down and then get ready for a race on Sunday. It seems like a lot to jam-pack in one day. So definitely, if you can, get there Friday. Athlete check-in, they do check in until 7 o'clock. Village is open. You get there, make sure your bike's all good. They've got their bike techs there if anything happens. They also have some athlete briefings and a review power hour and some other stuff that we'll kind of dive into later. But make sure, try to get there Friday, get checked in, get kind of settled in your hotel or Airbnb, wherever you're staying at, get your food and all that kind of fun stuff, and just make sure that you're kind of squared away for the rest of the weekend. Saturday, they do have a shakeout run at 8 o'clock. I plan on doing kind of my own little 2-3 mile run or something like that, but depending on where you're staying, if you're close by, to just go over there and do a shakeout run with them. I always recommend to athletes to at least do a shakeout run, maybe ride your bike for 20-30 minutes just to make sure all the gearings and everything's good to go. They are not doing a practice swim, to my knowledge, so you cannot go out to the lake. Definitely will not swim in the Missouri River that's by the transition, because that's a very quick moving river, and they're not going to recommend you go swim there. So just make sure that you're ready to at least do a shakeout run, shakeout ride, Get your swims in before you get there, or if you're going to find a gym locally, if you really want to do a swim, really, I tell my athletes and myself, I do a swim like Monday or Tuesday before a 70.3 race. Really, anything before that, like a few days before, it's really not going to make a difference necessarily. Maybe you just get the feel for open water if you haven't done a race. I know here in Kansas City we had the Kansas City Tri. It was a few weeks ago, so that was a good open water experience, kind of get the bugs worked out, and remembering to bring the right wetsuit, not an old wetsuit with a bunch of holes in it, because we're going to kind of go over the weather a little bit, but I'm recommending bring your wetsuit, bring your speed suit, just bring everything and be ready for a wetsuit legal race. I don't think it's gotten warm enough up there that it will get the water temperature above, but the days leading up to the race, it gets to the 80s, high 80s, low 90s, and warms that water up. They're going to do their best to find the coolest point in that lake, but at the end of the day, if they can't get that water temperature below the requirement for wetsuit legal, don't be surprised if you have to go either speed suit or just whatever you're going to wear besides a wetsuit. Probably will be wetsuit optional, so at the end of the day, if you feel not comfortable swimming without a wetsuit, you can wear a wetsuit. You just won't count for age group awards and all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about the swim. But back to the calendar. So Saturday, notice you can still check in there. They've got the Ironman Village. Ironman stores open, bike techs, all that kind of fun stuff. Mandatory bike check-in, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Notice this is at the lake where T1 is at, Lake Cunningham. So make sure that you're aware. I have marked everything on my Google Maps to know where everything is at. So if you zoom out Omaha a little bit here, as you can see, the lake is about a 12-mile difference, so it's about 25 minutes to get over there by car to drive over here to Lake Cunningham. So make sure that you're accounting for time, because I'm staying at the Holiday Inn and Express, so it's like walking distance, less than a mile to where the transition is at. So make sure that you are aware where you're going. T1 is at the lake, so this is where you're dropping your bike and your bike gear. And this is where you will, once you're done with the swim, everything has to fit in a gear bag, so they will bring it back to T2 for you. So everything that you leave here needs to be in a bag. If you're bringing a bike pump, you're bringing a gear bag or whatever, and you don't have anybody to give your stuff to get it back for you, be prepared that they're just going to leave it there unless it fits in a bag. So make sure it fits in a bag. A bike pump, if it's sticking out of the bag, sometimes they're nice and they'll bring everything for you. Sometimes they're not so nice and they'll just leave it there because they got to get all the gear and they got to get it back to T2. So that is our main goal. Make sure whatever you have when you're done with the swim goes in the gear bag that they give us, and when you pack and pick up, and that is what they will transport to you to T1 or T2, because you'll end up in T2 with your bike. Your bike will already be there, but they'll get your gear there. So make sure you know where you're going. So mandatory bike check-in is at the lake. Mandatory run gear bag is at T2. Make sure you're bringing the right stuff to the right place. T1, you're going to have access to that in the morning. You can bring all your stuff, but your bag, I would imagine, that might be a good question to kind of go over in the athlete briefing. You can probably bring everything else in. You can just drop your bike off on Saturday, and then you bring all your swim gear and your bike gear in with you, because they're going to have a shuttle service, or you can be dropped off there. So they're going to have an opportunity for you to get in there, get set up, get your bike gear ready to go. But everything that you don't take with you on the bike needs to fit in a bag so they can bring it back for you. So bike check-in, lake, run gear bag. So everything you're going to have for the run, you're going to have a chance to get back in there on race morning. They're going to open up the transition area so you can kind of go in and just make sure everything's ready and set up. But they're not going to let you bring everything in. They're going to kind of poo-poo on that. They're going to make sure, they're going to try to get you to bring your shoes, any gear that you're going to have on the run. T2, you bring it, and in the past for multiple transitions, we've tied it to the bike rack in your spot or something like that. So just make sure you have an extra pair of shoes. So if you run shoes, the only pair of shoes you're going to wear for the weekend, make sure you have another pair of shoes, or you're going to have to go make a run to the store real quick to have another pair of shoes if you're going to leave it in the gear bag check-in for the run. So make sure you know where you're going. Know the schedule. Bike check-in, run check-ins at T2. Athlete briefings, everything else happens at this Gallup University Riverfront campus. and I'll show you an athlete guide where they actually have the address. So this is the kind of the park area. This is where you're going to have transition. This is where all the fun's going to happen. So make sure that you know where everything is at and know when and where. So race day, transition 2 opens up at 4:30 a.m. So you should have an opportunity to get in there, access your bag just to make sure if you forgot anything, you can add it. If you need to check anything, if you need to add your nutrition, if you don't want to leave it sitting out there overnight, you can go in there, put it in the actual bag. You can't just like set up a transition like you normally would. You can't set up your transition gear. Typically what I've seen in 2 transition races, you got your bag and it's all in the bag. So when you get done, you have to put all your stuff back in the bag from the bike, and then you have all your stuff for the run, and they just put everything together and you get it after the race. So transition 2 opens 4:30 a.m. You can go in there and check and stuff. And then its shuttle buses start at 5:15. So they're going to have shuttle buses that go from transition in this Gallup Drive area, and transition, and the shuttle buses will take you from transition to the lake. Now, right now it's the shuttle bus service. We'll read down here further in the athlete guide to see if they're allowing spectators to go on the shuttle buses or if it's just athletes only. Sometimes they allow both, and sometimes they don't allow spectators to go. So if you're not getting dropped off at the lake, then you check in at transition 2, 4:30. You can get in there and access your stuff. 5:15, you can catch a shuttle with all the stuff. If you are self-supported, like I probably will be, everything that you take with you has to fit in a bag. For once you start your bike ride, it has to go in that bag so it comes back with you. I can't say it enough. Don't bring stuff that doesn't fit in the bag. Don't bring your keys. Don't bring your wallet. Don't bring important stuff to transition 1 on the shuttle. Anything that's important, you probably want to leave in the transition 2 area with your stuff, right? Because that's going to stay there all day. So car keys, if you're self-supported, this is where your car keys go. Definitely would not leave your wallet sitting around. I wouldn't leave anything important sitting around. But everything that comes on that shuttle either has to be worn on you on the bike ride or fit in that bag to come back. So I would definitely, if it's wetsuit legal, wetsuit optional, bring your wetsuit, speed suit, everything you're riding a bike helmet, shoes, whatever. You can bring probably like a little bag or something like that, or just put it all in the gear bag they're going to give us. So 5 a.m. transition 1 opens up. So there's a little bit of a gap. So I believe that we'll read down here and see if they can drop you off a little bit early. Ironman Village opens up, store, all that kind of fun stuff, post-race foods. Bike and gear checkout starts at 2 p.m. at transition 2. They're going to bring everything back from transition 1 that you leave in a bag, put it by your stuff in transition 2. And then awards are after that. So here's all the check-in information. Here's the address. Here's the times. So this 1001 Gallup Drive, Omaha. So bring your stuff, bring your ID, bring your registration code. Hopefully you got your QR code in the email. You should be getting it here pretty soon. Or you go back and find your registration email. You can go on active.com and find your QR code. You have to have that QR code or else they won't check you in. So it's going to be a pain if you can't find it. Make sure you find it. If you have anything that pops up, here's the phone number, 813-442-2497, Omaha 70.3 and Ironman.com. So these are the hours they're going to be paying attention to stuff. So if something comes up and you have to defer, or an accident, or forgot something, or emergency, or whatever, this is your race contact stuff. Don't post in the Facebook groups looking, who's the contact? Who should I call? Where's an email? It's right here in the event, in the athlete guide. So make sure you're checking on that. So that athlete check-in tells you everything you should get. Do notice, sorry, I was a little bit laggy. Show you bike checkout ticket. So if you got spectators that you trust, once the certain time periods opens up, I think at 2 o'clock, like I said, transition 2 opens up, you can start picking up your stuff. Your spectators, if you're still on the course, they can come get your stuff out for you, which is kind of nice. But usually, typically, what I've seen to transition race, sometimes it takes a minute for them to get the gear bag from the first transition over. Just be patient. This is the first year for it. I'm sure they'll work out the kinks and the details later. So here's all the pre-race info, physical address for the Ironman Village, Gallup University Riverfront Campus, Transition 1, all that kind of fun stuff. Make sure that you read the athlete guide because it's got everything in there for you and extra advertising. So gear bags. Drop off more race morning at swim start. So you've got a morning clothes bag. So if you want to wear stuff, if it's a little bit cold, wear a more sweatshirt or something like that, flip-flops, whatever, you can put it in the morning clothes bag. Make sure your number is on here. I put the sticker on and I write it in Sharpie to make sure it's on there. optional drop-off Saturday between 10 and 5 in transition 1. If you want to drop off your stuff, you can. You need a race bike, blah, 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 blah. Helmets must go in the bag with narrow mount. Liner shoe fuel, okay, beer transport transition shoe received after the race. So, bike gear bag. This is what you need to bring with you. You can either drop it off Saturday or you can bring it with you race morning. I would don't not bring this bag. This is how they will get your stuff from T1 to T2 for you to pick up at the end of the race. Mandatory drop off. So all athletes will have access to transition 2 on race morning. Your run gear bag they prefer to have most of what you're going to have for the race. Now some people put some just minimal amount of stuff. You have access to that on race morning, so you can put more stuff in there if you need to before you catch a shuttle to go to transition 1 at the lake. So make sure that you have all that straightened out in your mind. Make sure you got the logistics all set up. Race day info, that's all good stuff. You can read through that if you want. I'm not going to go through and hash all this stuff out. 8 stations. Everybody always asks, what's on the course? What kind of nutrition do I have? This is what's on the course and where it's at. So this is what the aid stations look like when we look at the bike course map. Bottle toss, trash, water, precision hydration, Morton gels, and food. Food will look, we'll go ahead and jump into that. So run course aid stations, so this is the order of stuff. So when you run by it, you're going to get water first, precision hydration, you get food, gels, cola. So this is the kind of the order of stuff as you're going through. So know the order. So they might have bananas on the bike ride, something like that. They're going to have people there holding out the bottles. Make sure I've got videos of how to do a bike transition. Make sure head on a swivel. Don't run anybody over. Don't accidentally run into a volunteer. Make sure you pay attention because sometimes the volunteers are kind of rookies out there and they don't know what they're doing. So make sure that you're watching everybody. I will show you, this is what their advertising is on course. So this is what they'll have. Sometimes they'll have bananas, chips, stuff like that, kind of on the run course and different things. But Morton is the sponsor for nutrition for gels, and they've got bars. So make sure that if you haven't used them before, this is what's on course. So if you're depending on what's course, this is what you're using. The Martin bars, they're not too bad. I've not done a Martin gel just because I do like others, and I've gotten tons of it. So I just keep using it all race, and I bring my own stuff. This is what drink is going on the course. It is not going to be Gatorade. It's not going to be Powerade or anything like that. It is precision hydration. They mix it up and they put it in bottles or cups on the run course and give it to you. So just make sure you're ready for that. Typically for the bike ride, it's going to be just disposable bottles. They premix it, put it in, and they have a sport cap on there, and you get it, and it fits in your bottle cage on your bike. So typically that's what they have for this race. I don't know. I have not seen information particularly if that's exactly what they're doing. Let's see. Bike course stations, 1250 miles, water, precision hydration, Martin gel, bars, bananas, toilets. So they don't say exactly what's going to be, how the hydration is going to give it to you. But anyway, so event info, health info, relay info. If you're doing relays, check the athlete guide, post-race info. Here's the important part. Bike and gear checkout. It's 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. race day. You must have your athlete wristband in order to enter transition. So, or that one of your spectators has that ticket. So that's important. To get your stuff out, you have to have your wristband or you have to have that ticket to get it out. So make sure you pay attention to that. Timing results. We all know about the IRONMAN tracker. Make sure your spectators have downloaded that. And keep in mind, it's not always 100% accurate. More advertising. Qualification, if you're looking for 70.3 World Championships, I believe it is in Nice, France this year in 2026. Here's information on that. You have to stay down for the roll down or else you don't get your spot. So make sure that you're not in a hurry to get out of town. So, on to the actual course and what I recommend. The swim, 1 lap, a big, huge triangle. So, what I am recommending is make sure, even though it's a lake, if it's windy, there'll be a little bit of a current. If it's not windy, there probably won't be much of a current. But sight, this is a very long route to just put your head down and keep swimming and not looking up at the sighting. So make sure you're sighting often for the buoys. It probably will be a rolling swim start. So every couple seconds, they'll let 2 or 3 athletes go. You start swimming, and usually it's not that crowded. When you get to the turns, it's going to be a little bit crowded. But make sure that when you make these turns, you turn around and sight the buoys. Going out, it's orange, looks like, and coming back, it's yellow and yellow. So make sure you know. Typically, Let's see if they put it on here. Self-seat swim start. Swim seating yourself. Usually the buoys are on your left and you're going to make left-hand turns. So make sure you're paying attention when we get out there and you're following the people in front of you. I'm not going first, so I'll follow the people in front of me. If the sun is out, it could be in your face at any point in time. So usually, coming up at the east, it's not going to be a big deal until you start coming back to the finish line. If the sun's in your face, make sure you're sighting often to find where these buoys at so you don't get lost, because you don't want to look back at your Garmin and you've added like 500 extra yards swimming back and forth because you kept sighting incorrectly. So make sure you sight correctly. Save yourself some time. So this is the wetsuit rules. 76.1 and below, you can wear a wetsuit. Less than, so it should be less than 83.8 degrees Fahrenheit, the water temperature. If it's that, it's like bath water. So between 83.8 and 76.1, wetsuit optional. You don't count for awards. 76.1 and lower is what we're hoping for, and is wetsuit legal, and you can wear your wetsuit. So make sure that you're aware of that. Personally, I'm bringing a wetsuit, a speed suit, and just making sure I'm ready for both, and just in case. And if it's on the line, usually they'll post signs around the athlete check-in, kind of what the water temperature is. If it's a question on race day, usually they'll post pretty early on the Facebook groups. They'll post on the app. If you signed up for text alerts, usually they'll post that pretty early, so you're not having to drag all your stuff with you if you cannot use a wetsuit, if you don't want to. Swim start checklist, athlete guide, look it through if you want to. I'm just going to buzz through that. Bike course. So here's where we start. The lake. It is kind of an out and back. You pass the lake, and then you get down to the transition area. So as far as a bunch of turns, there's not many turns. But as far as a technical bike course, there is about 3,000 feet of gain, which actually is fairly significant in my opinion. If you live around the Midwest, people think Kansas is flat. It's not. Here in Kansas City, we've got hills. So if you're riding around Kansas City, if you're riding around Omaha, if you're riding around the Midwest, you should have fairly decent amount of training for hills. Or if you've been indoors, make sure that you're doing plenty of hills. Now, a week out from race day, there's not much you can do to get prepared for this. I would definitely recommend for my athletes, this first 15 miles, I would not go out and kill myself. You're going to come out of that swim, and as soon as you get on your bike, you're like, yeah, man, I survived the swim. I'm out here on the bike. It's great weather. It's cool. I want to really pound it, and I'm going to try to get some, some fast splits out of here because I want to have a good time for the rest of the race and a good bike split and all this fun stuff. By the time you get to mile 15, you might be feeling pretty good, and then they're going to have some opportunities here, pretty flat conditions to do aero, depending on the wind, all that kind of fun stuff. And then about mile 30, you're going to be like, okay, a few more hills. About mile 45, you're going to start feeling worn out. Luckily, kind of coming back toward transitions, a little bit of a downhill section here, so you have a little bit of time to recover. But if you guys go gung-ho for this first 15 miles and then try to attack the rest of the hills, if you've not done the proper training or you've been indoors for most of the winter and you haven't had opportunities to get outside and ride in the real road, you're going to pay for that on the run. Your legs are going to be zapped, your energy is going to be zapped. I would definitely recommend these first 15 miles be reserved in how much you're attacking the hills. Be smart. During this little section here that's flat, you do aero. I definitely would focus on hydration, nutrition. I would try to get as much in as possible because you're not having to work as hard to get through this section. I would cut it off a few miles before this, so it looks like mile 26. So about mile 25, I would start cutting stuff off. I would start reducing how much calories I'm taking in because personally for me, when I'm working hard, my body does not process food and calories well in sports drinks. So definitely around mile 40 is when I personally switch to more gels, more less solids and more sports drinks, more gels and stuff like that my body can process a little bit easier. Otherwise, I kind of have a huge gut full of a gut bomb for the run, and it's not very fun. Especially when you start hitting this downhill section in mile 45, 46. This is the time I start tapering off solids and stuff, but I'm working hydration, I'm working sports drinks, I'm working electrolytes, I'm working all that kind of stuff. I'm just cutting off solids. So definitely, there's going to be times in here where you can definitely attack the course, especially after mile 45. It's looking to be a little bit more of a laid-back kind of bike course situation where you can get an aero, especially going downhill for a couple miles. But don't be lulled in false insecurity. Don't attack these 15 miles and then try to attack miles 26 through 45 and then try to coast in and get to the run course. You're going to be kind of worn out. So definitely be smart on these hills. Smart and conservative. That's what I recommend, especially if you're a first-time 70.3 athlete. I've done 16, 17 half Ironmans. I plan on being fairly conservative based on the training that I was able to get done for this race. So make sure you know that. Make sure you know the drafting rules. Don't get cards for drafting. Don't get cards for littering. All that kind of fun stuff. Read the athlete guide. Know your rules. So know the signs. All that kind of fun stuff. Advertisement for bike techs. Be it Ironman Village. More advertising. More advertising. More advertising. More advertising. All right. Run course. The run course, we're going to kind of skip through to the elevation. So a whopping 183 feet of elevation gain, which is, in my opinion, pretty darn flat. So basically what you're doing is you're running trail systems here and roads kind of around the river. So it's kind of nice. You get a little bit of a view of the area here. You get across the river, change of scenery. So it's going to be 2 laps. So make sure you're paying attention to the signage when you come through to do your 2 laps, or you come to the finish line because you don't want to finish early, or you don't want to run extra laps. So make sure that you're aware, you're paying attention to the signage, especially when we're in the transition area. Really, I think the run's going to be about conservation of hydration. And making sure that if you're in the open sun, make sure you bring sunscreen, because the last thing you want to do is get burnt by the end of the day. That is not very fun, not very comfortable. Like I said, make sure you're hydrating. I would imagine if it gets in the 80s, they're going to have ice at the aid stations. So make sure that you're staying properly cool, properly hydrated. Make sure that your energy output is matching what the conditions allow. If it's hot and humid, I definitely will not go out there and try to crush it. Definitely be conservative. And the last 5 or 6 miles, you're feeling good, go for it. But if you're in the first 3 to 4 miles of this race, you're feeling great, you're like, I'm going to kill it. And if it's cloudy and the sun comes out, or if it's humid, you're going to be zapped by mile 7 or 8, and it's going to be kind of a not very fun kind of walk, run, drag your feet to the finish line situation. Been there, done that plenty of times. Don't recommend it. So that is kind of what I would recommend for the run course. Like I said, as long as you manage the bike course well, I think you shouldn't have too many problems. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, qualification cards. Don't get disqualified. Don't get picked up for littering. All that fun stuff. So, and they got the course maps. It's all on the website. So if you go to the course, you can course overview, see all the maps and everything. The athlete guide is available there. So swim course, pretty straightforward. Bike course, don't get fooled. 3,000 feet of elevation gain over a bike ride is, in my opinion, pretty substantial. So just be ready. There's going to be some climbing, but it looks like it's kind of punchy hills. It's not one big, huge mountainous climb or several big climbs. It's just down and up, down and up. Keep that momentum going, rolling over the hills. Like I said, on the run, just make sure you're paying attention to, is it hot? Is it humid? Have you been hydrating? Make sure on the bike ride you are hydrating, nutrition, setting yourself up for a good 13.1 mile run. So definitely, that's what I recommend. Make sure you know what's offered on the course if you're living off the course. Let's see if... no, we don't need shampoo and conditioner. Let's check Omaha, Nebraska. So if we're looking at Omaha, we are looking at Sunday the 7th. Right. So Sunday the 7th. So make sure a shower or two around the area in the morning, and then partly cloudy in the afternoon, high around 85. So we may have some showers in the morning to deal with. So it looks like there's going to be some potential rain, some cloudiness. It looks like it's going to be mid to upper 80s. So that's fairly warm. If the humidity's up, it's going to be fairly uncomfortable. So make sure that you are ready for heat and a little bit of humidity. And just be prepared if there's storms in the morning. It could mean a delay in the race start, so make sure you pay attention to the app, notifications in there, Facebook pages, sign up for the text alerts on the website. I think it also came in an email that you could sign up for text alerts. So definitely pay attention to what the weather's going to be like. And like I said, with the 80s, it might warm the lake up enough, but there might be enough rainwater that keeps us in that 70 76.1 or lower area, bring your wetsuit, bring your speed suit, be prepared for both mentally, or more than likely it will be you can do wetsuit optional. If it's above 76.1, you just won't count for awards, all that kind of fun stuff. So just make sure that you're ready, make sure you're prepared. I would bring everything. I think that's for the most part what I was going to discuss with my athletes. So overall, I am looking forward to this race. I think it should be fun, should be exciting. I love doing the Midwestern events. 70.3 Des Moines was always a good event and every year it got better and better. So the race director that did Des Moines is doing Omaha. So I think he's learned a lot, especially working with the Midwestern around that. So I think it should be a very good quality race. But I'm going to say it's going to be warm. Looking at the forecast in the 80s, upper 80s, that's fairly warm in my opinion, especially when you're going out there and running 13.1 miles after a 56 mile bike ride and a 1.2 mile swim. Don't take it for granted. Don't sleep on it. Make sure you're prepared with sunscreen. It's going to be sunny. Looks like it's going to be partly sunny, so make sure you got sunscreen so you don't start burning on the course. Make sure that you hydrate and get your nutrition on the bike ride to set yourself up for a good run, because I know personally when I get to the run and my energy level is basically depends on how I've set up the rest of the race and the bike ride. And if I didn't set myself up with the right nutrition, the right hydration, by the time I get to the run, my gut is not going to process anything that I put into it, and if I need to catch up with energy or catch up with fluids, it's going to be a walking situation. Make sure that gets through and gets into the system and gets absorbed properly. So I think it's going to be a good race. But I think you're going to have to manage it well. Expect a little bit of heat, a little bit of humidity, possibly be ready for some rain, especially on the bike ride, it looks like. So be ready for that. Be comfortable riding in the rain. Be comfortable riding on wet roads. Be comfortable knowing that it possibly could be a delay in the swim start. Or it could be a change if it's delayed enough. They could cut out the swim, or they could shorten the swim. So just be ready for anything on race day, because looking at the weather, I mean, shower or two and 30% chance. So it's got just rain in there. So if it's raining, they're going to go. If there's lightning in the area, it's going to cause a problem. But it's looking like right now it's not doing too drastic or crazy on Sunday. So just be prepared for that. So again, Brian, setthepacetriathlon.com. If you have any more questions on this video, make a comment on the video on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Send me an email, send me a message, smoke signal, whatever you got. I'll be out there doing the race. I believe 3 athletes out there doing the race. So we are getting ready, especially here in the Midwest and Kansas City. The weather's been pretty similar to what's going to be on race day. So I am excited to be out there, and I'll see you guys out there, and I'll see you guys at the finish line, and good luck.